start in today's podcast. If you're interested in one of our activities, which includes the our podcast, please make sure to follow our social media, which is in Facebook and YouTube, named Claret Research Team.
on previous episodes, on previous episodes, we have talked about uh, the rationale, SDGs included in our movement, and also the introduction and the basically the concept on our papers, some of it, and we will explain all of it, which is we will explain the rest of it, which is the objectives of this study. So, I have forgotten to mention that this is an initiative. May nag-play music. Ikaw? May nag-play music. Ah, okay. This may nag-play music. If I have forgotten to mention that this is an initiative from Microsoft, and we will utilize our available resource to promote the issue. Well, this movement is in line with SDG 6.B, which is community cooperation. This will that that certain SDG indicator is advocating for local cooperation within the community, uh, and and that would mean us that would mean for us we will concentrate on our local, which is Zamboanga City. Now, there are other campaign or movements that advocate for removing debris, such as woods and plastics, but most of it don't recognize or focus on the matter that there could be smaller contaminants that would be toxic metals, microorganisms, and microplastics, most of which can't be determined unless some testings are involved. Now, okay. What? Hmm? Ano? Ano? Yun, rational. Uh, well, to put it in a simple perspective, uh, we would identify smaller contaminants, which are the toxic metals, microorganisms, and microplastics. Uh, the toxic metals and microorganisms are the original identificants for contamination, for dangerous water quality. But microplastic is a relatively new issue, and most of which are being researched by experts. And these three contaminants will be delved on their will be delved on different episodes that will be special for them.
Uh, in object in in objectives, we focus on contamination analysis, identification, promote awareness using technology in line with SDG 6.B, which is community cooperation. Although these microbes pose a concentrate threat of contamination, their presence can be easily detected by the turbidity of the growth medium or the floating branching mycelia. Within a few days of contamination, bacterial contamination may often be confirmed under a 10 times microscope. Awareness raising is a method of informing and educating people about a topic or issue with the goal of changing their attitudes, behavior, and beliefs in order to achieve a specific goal or purpose.
Now, may I may I expound on that more further? We have chosen Facebook, YouTube, and as well as Flipgrid to promote our issue. This would include this podcast and some PubMats, and as well as uh, webinars involving the three contaminants that we have chosen.
Okay, so for the community cooperation, on the other hand, it guarantees that communities are not left with some voids after funding is ultimately withdrawn. It has effective and long-term and short-term process, which is for effective and long-term global development requires community cooperation, and for the short-term relief, on the other hand, lasts only as long as the organization's aid is present in some particular region. Um, in additional in awareness, you can use the media to increase awareness. You may write a letter to your local newspaper or submit an article for publication. You can also contact your local radio station and ask to speak with them about your problem. Television is another excellent medium for making your voice known.
Well, as long as it would promote awareness, it will be enough. This is to stress that dangerous water quality, a dangerous water quality from mismanaged wastewater can affect public health. The tendency to neglect water safety is is dangerous because not only that this would harm those who are in contact of that said contaminated waters, it would also harm those who are immunocompromised that who are in contact with the infected individuals. Now, illiteracy is is harmful as well as compromising safety. These two factors can contribute to a disaster that would include a pandemic or any health related complications in the certain area.
So about the may I add a little bit on your explanation back there. Uh, so in marine life, so when it comes to marine life, if consuming aquatic animals exposed to any of the three contaminations would can impose health risk. So if we eat any kind of marine life, which includes fish, because we know we eat fishes every single day, right? So if we eat any kind of fish that has contamination in so let's just say their tissues or their liver or something like that, then it will affect us, and it also affects not only not only to ourselves but also to the community as well, for those who loves to eat aquatic life, uh, or should I say there other creatures that has been contaminated in these three kinds of contamination.
Um, Contamination and extraneous matter investigation can necessitate a variety of approaches to detect, identify, and examining contamination. Contamination can cause huge description or disruption in your production or distribution. So it's critical to apply the right analytical procedures to get a quick fix.
And that is why we, uh, as the members of the CRT, would research on these contaminants around Zamboanga City. Namely, so far we have visited uh, the Bolong Beach on East Coast, as well as the Bolong River and the Zambo Wood Estuary. And there are still planned locations that we will visit in the future, but so far we have been testing the samples that we have already gathered. And this is really in line uh, to promote awareness for the said contamination.
Well, so far we have been go to three locations, which is the Bolong Beach and Rivers, and also the Zambowood. So so later, maybe maybe next year, we'll go to the next three locations, which is what are the locations exactly?
So far, we are hoping to get uh, more from East Coast because there are still locations that we have not yet uh, gone through because of time constraints. But after that, we will go to the West Coast, which is I'm really excited for Caragasan Beach because it's infamous for its dangerous dangerous waters. So far, what I have observed is that every Sunday there are beachgoers that will enjoy the waters. I don't. Hmm, it would be it it would be uh important to let them know that the water they are bathing in has some complications, and this would apply to all water bodies because water is an essential resource to life. If A fun fact is that almost all the cities that we can found right now is situated near a water source, mostly on rivers, but it is but most civilizations are based from a certain water source. Mhm.
May I add a little bit of explanation? So, what I said in the previous episode, which is what I said about the issue of the SDG 14, the life below water. Like I said again, uh, the aquatic animals or the aquatic marine system plays a vital role. Not just only for the waters, but also for life as well. So if it affects if it affects their ecosystem, then later on there will be if possible there can be extinction, or there can be some kind of bad chemicals that can be in the water, or there are contaminations in that water. If I'm wrong, just
Uh, well said. Yes, these contaminants would truly cause complications at a certain level. And I would also like to stress on the fact that going back on neglecting safety, while some of these compounds or microorganisms or microplastic or toxic metals is will be present to a water body, uh it it has a certain threshold level to which uh it is considered as safe or dangerous. And so far, while we test for these waters, if they are at a safe level, uh we would also know what effects will it induce to the communities, especially that uh, our our locals, some locals that rely on marine resources, especially the fishermen's or uh, the marine farmers. Their livelihood is focused on water resource, especially on marine resources.
For the awareness. Since we are talking about contamination, we can just start by doing it in our own home, which we can disregard. Um, Okay na, sige go. Okay. Okay. So we can just disregard some pollutants which can add in the contamination of water around us. And that's all.
To in earlier statements, I have said that we already have gone go through 3 locations, and we are already conducting our research for the contaminants. Mainly, we in our lab we have the bacterias. Yeah, we have the bacteria uh, which is being cultured, and so far, uh, there have been a progress, and we are. It is still yet to be known if it would be uh, a successful test, and also uh, an accurate samples that would represent for the national for the water quality around Zamboanga City, mainly on the sample sites that we have collected.
So may I add another explanation of our study so far? So in our study, we use bottles from the beach. First in Bolong Beach, we use bottles that have been thrown maybe in sands, and we used it for our samples. Just we are only getting yes, let's just say some some samples, but you know some sample we get some samples, then later in later in Bolong River, and then later in Sambuwood.
We have found out that our camera died. Our main camera died. Yan mo. Our main camera died. So we will cut this short. So Zydrix for the outro.
Okay, so before we end our today's podcast, the episode 2, we would like to thank you for listening our second episode of the Tech for Good Challenge podcast. So before that, I would like to give James to speak what yeah. Okay. So before we end in today's podcast, if you're interested, once again, if you're interested in one of our activities, which includes our podcast in today's day, please make sure to follow us on our social media in Facebook and YouTube, Claret Research Team.
Uh, well, that is all. And we would like to end this episode with a goodbye. All right, that's all. Thank you.
Stay tuned on episode 3. Okay lang.
Bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.